Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadandikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lilita Shri Vishakam Vidam Sya Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Paridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudre Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayal Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karodi Vachalam Pangam Langayade Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mesharam. What is that?
Tamala
Pamadidevam Karunanidam
Nidhanam Tamala Varnam Suhitavataram Apara Samsara Samudra Sedum Bhajamahe Bhagavata Surupam Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshi Aksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 14. Etashushrushatam vidwan suto no arhasi bhasitum katha hari katho dharka satam syu sadasidhre dhruvam. Yes, Rajeshwar Prabhu and Mother and Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you didn't share the screen, Prabhuji.
Oh, really? No, I have shared it. You can't see.
Yes, Mataji, we can see Prabhu. Mataji, I think is a problem.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Rajeshwar Prabhu.
Ekachusrushadam vidvan sutanoharvashi bhasitum kata hari kato dhargam tata syu sadasi dhruvam.
Very bold. Translation, Prabhuji, can you read?
O learned Siddha Goswami, please continue to explain such a topic to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees.
Very bold. Oh, learned Siddha Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. So, it is addressed to Siddha Goswami by Shravanagadi Rishis. What their request is, please continue to explain such topics. What topics? Topics related to Lord Sri Krishna and his pure devotees. They are all very, very eager to hear such devotees. As stated in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Matchitta Madgada Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam Kadayandasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Charamandicam. Because when devotees come together, what do they discuss? They discuss the Guna Rupa Leela Nama of the Supreme Lord. And they relish that in the company of devotees. Alone, when I am alone reading something, I will not relish that. But when we read among you all, in the assembly of devotees, it is very nice to discuss and share, isn't it? Rather than reading it alone. So when we discuss among the devotees, we can relish it more and more. That's why it is said that which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. So only then we can relish it more and more than reading it alone, isn't it? That's what Siddha Goswami is being addressed by Shanagadi's rishis. Please explain such topics. We are relishing it the company of the sages in the Naimisharanya, because it's not just the Shaunaka Rishi, but there are 60,000 plus sages listening to that. The purport, as we have already quoted above from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, even mundane things, if dovetailed in the service of Lord Sri Krishna, are accepted as transcendental. So how we can dovetail all the mundane activities also in the service of Supreme Lord? It is possible. It's not that we have to stop the mundane activities. We can just spiritualize that activities into devotional service. For example, the epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are specifically recommended for the less intelligent class, women, Shudras, and Anvarti sons of the higher caste, are also accepted as Vedic literature because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. So here, Prabhupada says that epics and histories of Ramayana, Mahabharata are all meant for the less intelligent classes, women, Shudras, and Anvarti sons of the higher caste. So, what do you understand by this? Why it is written like that? No, the less intelligent class. Okay, and especially they have mentioned women, Shudras, and Anvarti sons of the higher caste. So, what we have to understand? Can anyone explain, shed some light on this? Why Prabhupada is light? It's not Prabhupada, it is there. Even in the Vedic literature also it is mentioned. These are all these epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana and all men are in legend. Only women, Shudras and other such lower caste. Why? How do we take this? How do we understand? Is it some, belittling the women and Shudras and other people? Does it so?
In one purpose, before the starting stage of our Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji, I used to get angry. Why Prabhupada written like this, less intelligent woman like that? But in some classes, in your class, you have discussed about that one purport you discussed, Prabhuji. Why it's written like that, you clarified in our Daratamya, that our Bhakti Visha you have discussed.
Yeah. So do you remember? What is the reason why women Shudras are all considered to be the lesser intelligent class?
But in that one you have discussed one point, that one I remember, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Women, those who were in practicing Krishna consciousness will not come in this category.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that point I am remembering. But this point, one point you told.
It is. Yeah, it is devotees are not coming in this category. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they don't come in this category at all, whether women or Sudras or Brahmana, Kshatriyas, whoever it is. Practicing devotees doesn't come in this category at all. Okay, but then how we can understand this in the right perspective?
Actually, why Prabhupada says women are less intelligent? Because they are very compassionate. They take hasty decisions. That might be one of the point, Prabhuji.
Yeah, women, they are emotional, very, very emotional, sentimental. Okay, they don't see logic. They actually think, from the heart. They do everything from the heart. Because very, very emotional and sentimental. So they don't take a right decision also. Whereas the men, they are more of logic. They think logically. Okay, they don't, take hasty decision emotionally or sentimentally. So that is one of the reason, men are not categorized in this. Women, because although they have all the good qualities, they take, as you rightly said, hasty decision. Sometimes the decision may not be right also, because that emotional attachment is there. Most of them, they don't think logically. It's not that it's a disqualification, but their heart is so soft, like butter. They have place for everybody. They take care. If we talk about women, it's wife, mother, and all the very good role they are in the society they have taken. They are taking care of the children, the husband, the parents, and everybody, which usually the men doesn't do, isn't it? And not only that, they have mentioned Shudras. We know that the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Brahmana are the highest in intelligence. Then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, then Shudra. Shudras, they are not worthy of learning Vedas, Vedic literatures, because of their, in what mode they are? They are in what mode? Usually, those who are Shudras, in what mode?
Ignorance.
Ignorance, yes.
Prabhu, one more doubt here, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
But when we take the body of the Lord, Supreme Lord, okay, Sudras, they fall at the feet of the Lord, and Brahmanas, they come at the head of the Lord, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
So, the Sudras being a part of the body of the Lord, each and every part of the body of the Lord is as sacred as the Lord himself, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
In that case, how can we correlate this one, like they are not eligible for learning Vedas?
No, see, that's why again, see, for that, we can say the head is Brahmana. Which is more important, the head or feet?
Head is very important.
Okay, in our body, it is all material, just for us to understand. It's not that exactly the Shudras are the feet. Because why feet? Because they are the working class. Head the intelligent class. Okay, stomach the mercantile class, and chest or arms, whatever it is, Kshatriyas, administrative class. So if you see from that perspective also, we know that head is most important part of the body. Without head, that the person is not living, isn't it? If you remove the leg, still person can live. So from that perspective also, Brahmanas are, better, because they are in the mode of goodness. Kshatriyas are the mode of passion. Vaishyas in the mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras in the mode of ignorance. So because they are in the lower mode, they will not be able to understand this philosophy, this Siddhanta, which is given in the Devanagari, that is Sanskrit language. So they need guidance. Without guidance. So why Mahabharata and Ramayana? Because this has been given in the story form. Story is very easy to understand. Everybody likes story. So if you give the philosophy, very high philosophy, they will not be able to understand it. Right? That's why Ramayana and Mahabharata, it is meant for them, because through the stories, you can teach different lessons, different moral to the people. So that is the reason it is mentioned that epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are specifically recommended. Because if you teach somebody in the mode of ignorance the high philosophy of Vedas, okay, they will not be able to understand anything. But at the same time, if you teach the same thing to a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness, he will take it up. Okay, that's still there. Some of the Brahmanas who are born Brahmanas, they are cultivating the children in that this thing, isn't it? But it's not necessary, as I told you, and as Mataji also pointed out, that as far as devotees are concerned, no, they are also slowly and gradually rising themselves to the mode of goodness. So they can understand the philosophies also, isn't it? Because our line is also, even though we may have taken birth in a lower family, just like Prahlad Maharaj, but he was a pure devotee. So even though you may have taken birth in a lower family, but then by the mercy of Lord, by the mercy of devotees, by practicing sadhana bhakti, we can come to the mode of goodness and understand, the philosophy of Vedas. So here, those who are in the mode of ignorance, for them this is the right, isn't it? Just like we can say, first standard or second standard children cannot be taught the subject matters of the colleges, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, those who cannot understand such philosophy in the mode of ignorance, those who are in the mode of ignorance. So those who are highly intellectual can understand all these things. So it's not belittling some of the classes, it is just because they are not qualified to understand that. That is the reason. So we should not, Mataji was telling earlier when she heard this that she was getting angry. Why Prabhupada was, telling like that? It's not like that, because our level of understanding is such that we are all KG class children. Now, how can we understand the subject matter that is related to, PhD or college? It's not possible. Of course, as we progress, as we climb the ladder, definitely then we will be able to understand. So first of all, we have to acquire the qualification to understand that. So that's the reason. So here it's mentioned, women Shudras and Anvardhi. Why Anvardhi sons of higher caste? Because they are only for namesake Brahmanas. Okay? They are called Dijabandhu, friends of the Brahmanas, because they are born in the Brahmanical family, but they are not following Brahmanical culture. That's why it is mentioned, Anvardhi sons of the higher caste. So also accepted as Vedic literature. So these epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata are also accepted as Vedic literature, because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. So it's for easy understanding, they are, Vyasadeva has given it the form of stories, which can be relished, and at the same time, philosophies and teachings and, different moral, everything can be imparted through these stories. So Mahabharata is accepted as the fifth division of the Vedas. Okay, after its four division, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. That's the fifth division. The less intelligent do not accept Mahabharata as part of the Vedas, but great sages and authorities accept it as the fifth division of the Vedas. Some of them doesn't accept Mahabharata as part of the Vedas, but the learned people, the intelligent class of men, accept it as part of the Vedas only. Some less intelligent men say that Bhagavad Gita is not meant for householders, but such foolish men forget that Bhagavad Gita was explained to Arjuna, a Grahastha family man, and spoken by the Lord in his role as Grahastha. So some of them also argue that Bhagavad Gita is not meant for Grahasthas or householders. Why? What is the reason? Some people say that if you keep Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, there'll be fight at home.
Always fight at home like that.
Even otherwise there'll be fight. Isn't it? So it's not actually, as Prabhupada rightly said, this message was given to Arjuna, who was a Grahastha. Isn't it? So if that was not meant for Grahasthas, how come Lord Krishna gave it to Arjuna? So it is just a wrong conception, misconception. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita, although containing the high philosophy of the Vedic wisdom, is for the beginners in the transcendent science, and Srimad Bhagavatam is for graduates and postgraduates in the transcendent science. So beginners, preliminary study, Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam, then for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Charitamrita is postgraduate or PhD degree. Therefore, literatures like Mahabharata, the Puranas, and similar other literatures, which are full of the pastimes of the Lord, are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees. So we should not avoid, this is not part of Vedas, but this is part of Vedas. Only thing is, it is easy to understand for the common people. The general mass of people will understand it in that way very nicely. Unlike the Vedas, which is very high philosophically, philosophical doctrines, and the Sanskrit, which is very difficult for us to. If Prabhupada had not come, do you think that we will sit and read this?
No.
No.
It's made it very, very easy for all of us, isn't it? The translation in English, word to word, meaning, the purport, detailed purport, explaining each and everything, so that the common man can understand the real in-depth meaning of those verses. If you were to read only the verses and translation, do we think that we'll be interested in this? No, we will not be interested at all. We'll just read it for the sake of reading, because we know that reading such literatures is good, it's pious. But Prabhupada has made it so clear so that we have taken interest and we are reading it every day, day in and day out, and still we are not, it's not saturated. We want to read and discuss more and more the same topic, isn't it? Many times Prabhupada, purport, he has repeated, the points many times, but still we are not bored. We want to read it again and again. So that is the purity of Prabhupada. Okay. So it is because of Prabhupada that we are able to understand something from this, literature, this wisdom text. It is not meant for people like us. We are all Shudras. Why we are all Shudras? Because basically we are all working class. So as per Vedas, those working class, those who are getting salary, they are all falling in that category only. Okay, those who are getting salary, they are all called Shudras. So it is not that only for women, it's for men also. Okay. Men, those who are taking salary, it's also Shudra. So the difficulty is that such literatures, when discussed by professional men, appear to be mundane literature like histories or epics, because there are so many historical facts and figures. And again, when we listen these topics from professional men, they will be, presenting it in such a way, very nicely, word jugglery, this and that, but it will not transform our hearts. Such topics explained by professional men, will not transform our hearts. But when it is explained by pure devotees, it straight away touches our hearts and, we get transformed. And professional men, they are doing this. They are discussing this for getting some name, fame, and Lakshmi. Whereas pure devotees' intention is just to help the other lower class of men to slowly and gradually advance spiritually. So that's a difference. Professionally, all these people who are giving lectures for the sake of name, fame, and money, they will not be able to transform the hearts of the people, the audience. Isn't it? Maybe they are very scholarly and they will have lot of vocabulary, word juggler and everything. But how many of them gets transformed? That's why even we know that even before Prabhupada, many sannyasis have gone to West America and Europe. So how many of them could transform those people into Krishna devotees? Literally no, isn't it? But after Prabhupada went, millions and millions of hippies and so many uncultured, uncivilized people transform and become even acharyas. We know that, isn't it? We have so many examples right in front of us. Those were into all nonsensical things. They have left everything and they have become acharyas. They have become saintly. How many of them before Prabhupada went to West could transform such people? No. We don't find any. So that is the purity of a devotee. Professional people, professional devotees, or so-called devotees cannot transform the heart of such people at all. That's why here it said, because there are so many historical facts, and not only that, many of them say that this has not happened. These are all some allegory stories, just to make people good. Many people say that these are not histories. These are all some stories, because Vyasadeva is very genius and he has written down all stories so that people will go in the right path, behave properly like that, just to make them good people. He has made these stories, but it's not that. It's historical facts. It has happened. We know Vrindavan is there, Dwaraka is there, Mathura is there, Ayodhya is there. These are all historical places which is mentioned in our literatures 5,000 years before. All these incidents. It's not just stories. So it is said here, therefore, that such literatures should be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Why? Again, if you really want to relish this, if you really want to take advantage of this, we should discuss this among devotees, not alone. Unless they are discussed by devotees, such literatures cannot be relished by the higher class of men. So the conclusion is that the Lord is not impersonal in the ultimate issue. He is the supreme person, and he has his different activities. He is the leader of all living entities, and he descends at his will and by his personal energy to reclaim the fallen souls. So Prabhupada stresses this point, emphasizes this point again, that Lord is a person. He is not impersonal. Why he comes? He comes, we know the reason. Paritranaya sadhuna minashaya chaturskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Okay, that these are all external reason, but the internal reason of his coming is to give pleasure to his devotees and take them back home, back to Godhead. These are the internal reasons. All other three are the external reason. Those things can be, performed even sitting there in Goloka, Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. Lord doesn't have to come here. He can very well perform these activities sitting there in the Goloka or Vaikuntha. Okay. But he comes personally to give pleasure to his pure devotees and take them back home, back to Godhead. So he is the leader of all living entities, and he descends at his will. And we cannot force him, of course, we in the sense, the general mass cannot force him to come. But when devotee is called, he will come. Just like, for example, who called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come here, to appear here? Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya. Okay. He worshipped, the Shaligram with Tulasi and Ganga and requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come and rescue this, conditioned soul, because people were deviating from the real path, especially, after Lord Krishna's appearance, after a long time, got diluted. They all deviated. They lost. Even the so-called Brahmanas were not performing Brahmanical activities. So Advaita Acharya was feeling so sad. So he, intensely prayed Lord to come, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So Lord comes just to give pleasure to the devotees and take back home, back to Godhead. Because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of the topics of the Lord. Okay, here thus he plays exactly like the social, political or religious leaders, because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of the topics of the Lord. All such preliminary topics are also transcendental. That is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Okay. Men have inclinations for studying history and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, newspapers, etc. So let them be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all of them will turn to the topics relished by all the devotees. We have a tendency to read novels, fiction, stories. So why don't we read stories related to the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees? Isn't it? So like that, we can dovetail our activities, reading habit, okay, our interest of reading as devotional service. Some people have, the interest of cooking, okay. they can cook very well and eat. So before that, they can offer it to the Supreme Lord and consume the prasadam. So that can be spiritualized. Some like singing, instead of singing mundane music, they can sing bhajans, Vaishnava bhajan, and please the Supreme Lord. So like that, they can dovetail that capability or that ability in the service of Supreme Lord. So any mundane activities can be dovetailed in the service of Supreme Lord. The propaganda that the Lord is impersonal, that he has no activity, and that is a dumb stone without any name and form has encouraged people to become godless, faithless demons. And the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane activities that only clear their path to hell instead of return them home back to Godhead. So there are many philosophies, we know that, who claim that God doesn't have any form and doesn't have any guna and doesn't have any attributes like that. These are all ambak. These are all not right, and that will make them go to hell. That's what Prabhupada says here. Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics and social activities. And yet, Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Paramahamsa Samhita, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalist, and describes Param Jnanam. What is Param Jnanam? The supreme knowledge, the highest transcendent knowledge. Pure devotees of the Lord are all Paramahamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water. So they're all Paramahamsas. Okay. So if water and milk mixed and given to swan, what the swan will do? Will take only the milk. It has the ability to take only the milk and leave water. Similarly, the Paramahamsas, even though they are in the material world, so many negative things are happening in this material world. They will neglect everything. They will take only good from that. So that's why the pure devotees of the Lord are Paramahamsas. They cannot avoid, because we are all in the material world. So many bad things are happening, isn't it? Sinful activities are happening. But they will take even from that. If something is good, they will take that and they will just leave and reject the bad thing and sinful things. Okay, Hare Krishna, so any comments or any questions? Haribol.
No, Prabhuji, we can move, Prabhuji.
So we'll go to text 15. Savai Bhagavato Raja Pandaveyo Maharatha Bala Kridanak Kai Kridan Krishna Kridam Ya Adate. Chinmay Mataji.
Savai Bhagavato Raja Pandaveyo Maharadha Bala Kridana Hai Kridan Krishna Kridam Ya Adade.
Padmamukhi Mataji, translation please.
Maharaja Parikshit, the grandson of the Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with the dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity.
Haribol. Maharaja Parikshit, the grandson of Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. So since childhood, Maharaja Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord, because even in his childhood, he was playing with dolls, as if he's worshipping Lord Krishna. Isn't it? And who was doing like Parikshit Maharaj? A pure devotee was also playing like that.
Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada. was also playing like that. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.41, it is stated that even a person who has failed the proper discharge of yoga practice is given a chance to take birth in the house of devout Brahmanas or in the house of rich men like Kshatriya kings or rich merchants. Okay. So it is said that in Bhagavad Gita that short-term transcendentalists, long-term transcendentalists. Even if they cannot complete devotional service in this lifetime, what is their destination? Okay. The destination is that they will appear in the family of pure devotees from where they can advance, or they will appear in the family of rich or aristocratic men where they will have a conducive atmosphere to practice devotional service. So there is no loss or diminution. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyade Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahadobhayat. There is no loss or diminution in this endeavor. Even a little endeavor in this direction will save that person from the greatest danger. So if we cannot complete our devotional service, Krishna consciousness in this life, we are not at all at loss. We are not losing anything at all. As we always discussed earlier, that where we have stopped, from that point, we will start from the next life. So, and another thing, rest assured that if you are practicing devotional service and if you have stopped all sinful activities, if you are following the 4 regulatory principles, definitely we will get a human birth. So that human birth is guaranteed. And there is every possibility that we will take birth in a devotee family. Even Prabhupada says that in one of the purport that, that because of his previous what you call Sugardi, that he could take birth in a very advanced devotee family. So we will get an opportunity if we have not come. We don't want to wait for the next life, but in case we cannot complete the devotional service, Krishna consciousness in this life, we'll get a second chance in the next life where we'll take birth in the family of pure devotees of Brahmanas or aristocratic family, where we'll have conducive atmosphere to practice and progress spiritually. But Maharaja Parikshit was more than that, because he had been a great devotee of the Lord since his previous birth. Okay. Prabhupada says that since his previous birth, and as such, he took his birth in an imperial family of the Kurus, and especially that of the Pandavas. Okay. Pandavas are so close to Lord Krishna, Supreme Lord. So from the very beginning of his childhood, he had the chance to know intimately the devotional service of Lord Krishna in his own family. Because he was fortunate enough to take birth in the family of Pandavas, who are very close to Lord Krishna, isn't it? So Pandavas, all being devotees of the Lord, certainly venerated family deities in the royal palace of worship. Children who appear in such families fortunately generally imitate such worship of the deities, even in the way of childhood play. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being, look here, I told you the same thing. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family, and in our childhood, we imitate the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. Prabhupada himself says that. Okay. By the grace of Lord Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family, and in our childhood, we imitated the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. So this is what the children does. Whatever the parents does, they just imitate. So they were also, they were given dolls. So they treat that dolls as Lord Krishna or deities, and they worship. So from the childhood itself, they are being trained. Our father encouraged us in all respects to observe all functions, such as the Rath Yatra and Dol Yatra ceremonies, and he used to spend money liberally for distributing prasada to us children and our friends. We know that, when he was very small, 5 years or so, Prabhupada, did Ratha Yatra. He conducted Ratha Yatra. Okay, all the neighboring friends and families, they all came together, prepared bhoga for the Lord. They all participated in that. It was a big festival, and Prabhupada's parents, they were also so generous in making prasada and distributing to all the children and friends. Our spiritual master, who also took his birth in a Vaishnava family, got all inspiration from his great Vaishnava father, Thakura Bhaktivinoda. That is the way of all lucky Vaishnava families. The celebrated Mirabai was a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna as the great lifter of Govardhana hill. So Prabhupada is mentioning here about his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, who also got inspiration from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was also a pure devotee of Supreme Lord. And he also mentioned Mirabai, who is also staunch devotee of Lord Krishna. So this are all, it's not an accident that they, why is that some are taking birth in a very, very advanced devotee family, and why is that some are taking birth in a lower class family or not conducive atmosphere? It is not accident, isn't it? Is it accident? See, my birth in a particular family is because of my karma and desires. So I have taken birth in a particular family in a particular country because of my own karma. So if my karma were good, I would have taken birth in a very high class devotee family, because I didn't have that much sukriti or pious spiritual credits in my account. So in a normal family I took birth. But again, by the mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, we got association of devotees and we could practice. So some sukriti is there definitely. All of us have done some sukriti in the past lives. That's the reason we all came in contact with each other and we have started practicing Krishna consciousness. We are all in different level of spiritual advancement. Some may be 1%, some may be 10%, some 15, 20, like that. But we all have done some sukriti, some spiritual activity in the past. That is the reason we could practice in this lifetime also. See, some of them are advancing very fast. For example, two devotees joined Krishna consciousness in the same time. Okay, one advanced very fast. He took up it very seriously. He became brahmachari. Then he became sannyasi also. And the other person, so he is still practicing but struggling. Why one is advancing very fast and why one is not advancing? Because the one who advanced very fast had so much spiritual credit in his account. And of course, his nishtha, his determination, that is also counted. Isn't it? So any questions or any comments so far?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Now you told the determination. This is also because of the karma only, or how it is, Prabhu?
No, karma, karma decides the destiny. But, see, when you go to an astrologer, okay, they will predict certain things that at so and so for 10 years you'll have this, sickness, this and that. After 10 years, you'll go to school, you will be studying nicely. Then you will get a good college and you will graduate from that and you'll get a good job. All these certain things are there, some prediction. It's a probability only. Prediction means it's not that it will happen. You can change that if you have determination. No, I want to change my destiny. You can do that. Why? Certain things are fixed. You cannot change it. But certain things are possible by devotional service. Okay. For example, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj had a disciple. I have told this earlier also, I think. Before joining the ashram, he had shown his chart, astrological chart, to an astrologer. Then the astrologer said that, you will have a good family life, you'll have so many children, this and that. You'll enter Grahastha ashrama, you'll have a good, so many children, and you will lead a good Grahastha life. Then after that, he joined the ashram with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And after a few years of his service in the ashram, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj told him, please become brahmachari. And he became brahmachari. And after a few years, he told him to become sannyasi. Then this Prabhu said, how is that? How can I become sannyasi? As per my astrological chart, I'm supposed to enter Grihastha ashramam and I will have so many children. How is that possible? Then Maharaj said, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, no problem, I'm telling you, just accept it and become sannyasi. And he accepted it because it is the order of his Gurudev. And, he became sannyasi, and years passed by. And after so many years, he happened to see the same astrologer. Then he was wondered, how come you have become a sannyasi? You are supposed to enter into Grihastha ashrama and lead a good Grihastha life with so many children. Then he wanted to see his hand again, hand or chart or whatever it is. Okay. Then that whatever he predicted in the earlier, it was not at all matching. Now he is not seeing any of such signs. Okay, he is not seeing any that in that he is telling now it is changed. He is no more Grihastha. It is not there. So that prediction is there as long as we follow. And many people know the astrologer said, "Let me make that happen." We don't change. We have to change. We have to have that nishtha determination that I'm going to practice devotional service, which will change all my so-called destiny. And I can totally change my path. It is possible. For example, suppose yesterday I had some, food which caused some stomach upset today morning. Okay. I'm going to a doctor. Doctor will say, okay, you have taken so and so food stuff which is not good for your stomach, and please do not repeat this. If you take the same food stuff, you will again fall sick. So what should we do? We should follow the doctor's instruction, right? We should not consume such food stuff that upsets our stomach. So that is determination. If you don't follow that, what will happen? Again, this will repeat. Similarly, due to some sinful activities, the reaction of which we are suffering now. Now, if we stop that sinful activities, definitely we are not going to suffer any more sinful reaction. So as a sample, it may come. It's not that completely will be eradicated. Sometimes everything will be eradicated. Sometimes some sample, reaction may come, but we'll be able to tolerate and accept that and overcome that if we practice Krishna consciousness. If you are not practicing Krishna consciousness, definitely it will be difficult for them to accept and overcome those problems also. They'll be totally collapsed. So there are certain things, it goes hand in hand. Destiny and choice. Certain things we can change, definitely. Bad habits. We know that is bad habit, we have to stop it. It is in our hand. Okay. So certain things, destiny, certain things in our hand, we can change it. So that is determination. So determination or nishtha means we know that this is wrong, we are not supposed to do. We should practice devotional service, stop all sinful activities, and that will take us. And what we are practicing now, that will be our destiny next life. If you continue performing sinful activities, then we'll have to suffer definitely. So it is in our hand whether to continue sinful activities or change ourselves and practice Krishna consciousness. Is it clear, Mataji? So the life history of many such devotees is almost the same because there is always symmetry between the early lives of all great devotees of the Lord. According to Jiva Goswami, Maharaja Parikshit must have heard about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavana, for he used to imitate the pastimes with his young playmates. So he was fortunate enough to hear from his elders, from his seniors, from his parents about the pastimes of Lord Krishna and pure devotees. That's why he was just imitating. According to Sridhara Swami, Maharaja Parikshit used to imitate the worship of family deity by elderly members. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also confirms the viewpoint of Jiva Goswami. So, accepting either of them, Maharaja Parikshit was naturally inclined to Lord Krishna from his very childhood. So, he was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna from his very childhood. Okay. He has not seen Lord Krishna personally, just he missed. He has not seen him. But of course, he saw him in the womb of his mother. Okay, as the thumb-sized Vishnu form. So he might have imitated either of the above-mentioned activities, and all of them establish his great devotion from his very childhood, a symptom of a Mahabhagavata. Such Mahabhagavatas are called Nitya Siddhas, or souls liberated from birth. They're all coming here, performing certain leelas to teach us certain lessons. They are not ordinary people. They're all Mahabhagavatas. But there are also others who may not be liberated from birth, but who develop a tendency for devote service by association, and they are called Sadhana Siddhas. So they are Sadhana Siddhas. Okay? And Nitya Siddhas are already, eternally liberated, but Sadhana Siddhas are those by practice they are liberated. By practicing, they are liberated. Sadhana Siddhas. There is no difference between the two in the ultimate issue. And so the conclusion is that everyone can become a Sadhana Siddha, a devotee of the Lord, simply by association with pure devotees. The concrete example is our great spiritual master, Sri Narada Muni. In his previous life, he was simply a boy of a maid servant, but through association with great devotees, he became a devotee of the Lord of his own standard, unique in the history of devote service. We all know the story of Narada Muni. He was a son of a maid servant. He got an opportunity to associate with the Vedantis, Bhakti Vedantis. And because of the association of highly exalted devotees, saintly personalities, and by practice, he could become Narada Maharshi in the next life. Okay. So he has become a pure devotee just by associating with transcendental personalities. Okay. So any questions or any comments?
Prabhu, what is the difference of Mahabhagavata and Bhagavata?
Mahabhagavata and
Bhagavata.
Mahabhagavata is great devotee. Just to give one more, superlative degree to emphasize that is a pure devotee. Bhagavata, Mahabhagavata means Bhava Mahabhava, Prabhu Mahaprabhu. So just to give, adjective to show that he is a great devotee. Mahajan. Okay. There are 12 Mahajans. They are not ordinary people. Jan means ordinary people. Mahajan means great devotees. So Maharaja Parikshit is, it's not ordinary person, is a Mahabhagavata. It's a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Devotee, we call each one of us a devotee, that devotee. But when we say he's a pure devotee, does it make some difference? Narada Maharshi is a pure devotee. Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Can we call ourselves pure devotee? We are practicing devotees.
Prabhu, you have to just put I and M before that, Prabhu. Impure devotees, Prabhu.
Hari bol. Hari bol. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your. Okay, any other questions or comments? Suchaya Gaurachandra Prabhu, want to share something?
Nothing, Prabhu. I just joined in between, Prabhu, but Hari bol, Prabhuji. In my case, it is always like that, Prabhu. Usually no questions, Prabhu. Because I don't have the intelligence to understand.
No question, but you can contribute.
Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Madhur Krishna Das Prabhu. I didn't get you. Who is this? Madhur Krishna Das Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
धन्यवाद जी, हम लोग इंग्लिश नहीं था, हमने सोचा कि हम लोग का प्रोग्राम लेते, बच्चों लोग का प्रोग्राम है।
हाँ, कोई बात नहीं। कोई बात नहीं।
मैं निकल जाऊं बाहर प्रभु जी?
आप प्रभु जी?
मैं बाहर हो जाऊं ग्रुप से?
नहीं 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 नहीं, कोई बात नहीं। नहीं, जरूरत नहीं है। नहीं, हाँ, कोई जरूरत नहीं। आप रह सकते हैं प्रभु जी।
ठीक है।
ठीक है। और कुछ एनी अदर पॉइंट्स और कमेंट्स? Padmamukhi Mataji, anything?
Nothing, Prabhuji.
Rajesh Prabhu.
That's interesting.
Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Okay, so next week we'll start from text 16. I'll stop the sharing now. Hare Krishna, I will stop the recording also.